Why would an agent stop selling insurance and learning sales to go create leads? Imagine the guy that's like delivering food to make money. He's like, you know what? In order to make more money and be more profitable, I'm actually going to start making cheeseburgers myself.
Right.
And
instead
of delivering Johnny's cheeseburgers, I'm going to make my own cheeseburgers to make an extra $3 a delivery.
That's literally like the perfect analogy.
What up, y'all? John Wetmore back with another episode of the Insurance Insiders podcast. Got my dude Oscar Gonzalez with me today. Referred in. We actually don't know each other at all, other than the 6 minutes we just talked offline. But we cross paths. We know a lot of the same people, and the people that I know that referred you, dude, I trust and like a lot. So
nice.
I was a little hesitant at first because I'm like, I don't know this dude. And leads, you know, lead people hit me up and stuff. I'm like,
another lead guy.
Yeah, you come with good references, bro. So I appreciate you getting on and taking
awesome, man.
time. I know you're on a little travel trip right now, but appreciate having you.
No, it's awesome to be here, man. Good to connect. I was just telling you, I see you out there all the time, and all everything you're putting out there. It's like, man, this guy's doing it. I gotta get this guy in the network. We gotta connect, man. So happy to be here, man, for sure.
And for those that suck at it, you followed up, which helped because I didn't get back to you right away. And you know what I mean? It was like, what do they say? There's, I don't know the right term, but I'm going to say my version of someone who made up something that sounds good. There's a lot of money in follow up. Not that there is necessarily, but
man, it's because that is like what happened. I reached out to you a couple times, cold, man. I just hit you on Instagram, and you're busy. You got a million things going on, and it's like with me, people will hit me up, and sometimes I don't see it or I don't go into messages, and I was like, all right, I'm not that guy that's gonna hit you like a million times. I'll drop a couple lines, I'll give you a couple likes, and then. Well, I saw my opportunity when a few people mentioned you, and they were like, "Oh, I talked to John." I said, "Oh man, let him know who's out here," and here we are. I
love it, dude. Well, cool. Well, I saw what you sent me. It kind of seems like you got kind of a cool long story, but you've definitely sold insurance, which I liked a lot.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of people that get in your space because they don't know how to sell, and I'm like, well, this dude's done it, so. Would love for you to, so I don't have to give the background, give a little story to them, and ultimately what we're going to help people with. I always want to give people like actual tangible shit that they can walk away with and go, damn, I can actually implement something.
Yeah.
So would love for you to maybe start with what we can help them with, and then get into your story a little bit, and we'll go from there, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I think one of the things I've been, I do a lot of, obviously lead generation is my main focus now. Mm-hmm. But just to give people right into it, and some of the stuff that we've been working on, or more like transitioning, right, has been the flow of ads that are out there running lead forms, right? Facebook lead forms, which is now like the common thing for everybody out there.
Yeah. Yep.
And now you're noticing the saturation in that campaign type, right? And you're seeing all the things that Facebook is doing to monetize those lead forms and show other people, other companies along the lead form. And so we're really noticing the shift, right? And we've been really focusing now on conversion campaigns, where a year ago we were only doing lead forms and it was hitting really well. Yep. Now what you're seeing, for us at least, for my clients and the stuff that we run, it's like, man, somebody fills out a lead form on Facebook, and before they hit submit, Facebook is showing them 10 other lead forms that they can fill out. Yeah. And so it's just a game of who catches the person first, right? Who's gonna dial this person and stay on it.
So you're saying now, to make sure I'm clear, Facebook, if I see an ad and I go, I want more info, I get the little form to fill in my info. They're showing ads on that screen now?
They're showing after you fill it out and you go to hit submit, a new page will pop up and it'll say, since you have interest in this.
It's not yours. That's like Indeed does that.
Yeah. Not yours. They're saying, since you have interest in this, here are 5 other businesses that do something similar. And the algorithm will aggregate other lead forms that are running. It's not always great. Like yesterday, I just went through, and I'm always going through lead forms, right? I see an ad and I'll click learn more, just to
see what it does.
See what's out there, And yesterday I filled one out, and it was an insurance agent, and I went through it. And then when I hit submit, it showed me 5 other lead forms. 2 of them were like agency lead management. 2 of them were like for insurance. So the algorithm, I think they're still like trying to hone it in.
Yeah.
But obviously Facebook just wants to monetize, right? How do we monetize every single impression that we got out here, man? So yeah. So I think because of that, and then combine that with just the revolution of like self-gen, right? In the last 2 years, which I did insurance, you know what I mean? Like I did
Everybody's
insurance.
their own lead vendor now.
Everybody, right? Everyone is like getting into lead generation. I think, obviously TCPA, all the stuff that's happening in January, so obviously people have been moving into it. So the easiest way to do it is a Facebook lead form, right? And I just think that there's a big saturation in that market now. And we started noticing it. So we said, well, conversions are still there, right? It takes an extra step to create a conversion campaign just because you got to do the pixel and you got to actually create a lead form on a landing page. And so there's a few extra steps to take. So you have less people doing it, at least the majority.
They
right?
go to your world instead of staying on the Facebook platform.
You got it. We're just taking them into a landing page and
Does
doing
Facebook hate that?
I
mean, do you get dinged a little bit? Go like, hey, we're leaving our platform, and does that? What do you think there?
No, I don't think so. No, I think if you have the campaign set up properly, right? I think it's all driven by creative, right? But if you have those steps set up properly, we're actually seeing prices pretty comparable to lead forms. Now you still got to call them, you still got to follow up, you still got to
work.
You still got to do the sale, So
hey, it's back.
There it is.
Back.
Yeah,
you still got to do the work.
That's right, man. Because that's the thing that I always talk about. It's like, man, agents will set up all these systems and things and like spend money and then leads hit and it's like, well, why didn't every one of these close, right? Why am I not talking to every lead that came in? Why am I not presenting to 10 out of 10 leads that are coming into my system? And so, yeah, you still got to do the work, and the work is a grind.
Yeah. What, from your perspective, having sold and messing with the lead side, where do you think, why are so many agents still broke, dude? Because this is so easy, in my opinion. Obviously, you know what I mean? Those of us that make money in the deals, like, this is not complicated.
Yeah.
But they come to you because you got and again, no offense to you, I'd say this stuff to Cody and every lead guy. It's like, they come to you, you got the magic leads this week. And the piece they miss is when you go, shh, I got the magic lead vendor. Call Oscar, he'll hook us up. And then they go to their buddy and they're like, hey, go to him. Hey, go. And every lead vendor I've ever worked with time at scale, eventually there's some version of watering down. It's natural evolution of business, unless you keep your head on a swivel and you adapt.
Right.
You know what I mean? But where do you see the agents go wrong mostly on your side? Like, what's the rub in your opinion?
Man, it's so interesting, right? To now seeing where I was selling, right? Because I came into the business now 3 years ago, right? I sold the business, I sold out, and I sat around trying to figure out what I was going to do. And when I decided, man, insurance is a good opportunity, I got some money, let me go into this and learn it myself.
Yeah.
I immediately started converting sales, right? Obviously, I had an idea of marketing because I had been promoting and selling products for 8 years. I had no idea about lead generation, right? I understood the concept and all that, but it immediately clicked. But if I didn't have marketing and I bought leads, it would have clicked either way, right? Because I think the missing piece, it's not the leads, right? And like, like I'm here saying it, I do leads. I help
the lead guy. I love it.
Man,
most of your buddies are not honest like this.
Dude, leads are not the answer, guys, right? Leads is not what's going to get you to 40,000 to 50,000. You need leads to get there. Yeah. But what you need is your skill. You need your discipline. You got to you got to be a salesperson, right? You have to do the work required to convert. And I think that's where agents fail, right? They come into the business, they have this idea that like all they need is to buy leads, buy a system, and that they're just going to make this money. And it's just not the truth, man. It doesn't matter what lead they buy, live transfers, it doesn't matter, right? Like it's all the same, man. Is you got to do the activity, you have to do the work behind it. So like when I came in and I started and I said, all right, my focus now will be to help agents, right? It was like, I want to provide them with the lead process, but they also need the other systems, right? The CRM, the automations, all these things. And initially my thought was, I want to coach people, right? Because before I was in e-com, I ran call centers. I had 100 people in a call center at one point. So my sales, I've been selling since I was 15 years old, right? That's all I've ever done. And so it was like, all right, how do I combine all these things? And then it was kind of more, I was biting off more than I could chew, right? So it was like, all right, let me start with this process, right? Let me start with the lead generation, the systems that go along with lead generation, and see where it goes. And now after helping 200-300 agents, right, agencies and the whole thing, it's the same thing where I see people fail, right? They're missing the discipline to do the work required to be successful, and they quickly will point at everything around them as the fault rather than saying, shit, man, I'm not dialing, right? Or I'm not following up. I'm just not staying on it, you know?
Yeah. It's always, I had a mentor of mine that would always tell me, new leads don't make you good. And it's the same, my iteration of that is a new lead vendor doesn't make you good either.
It doesn't, and that's what happens, right? Because then they have a bad week or they start and it's like, shit, I wasn't successful this week. And then somebody whispers something, oh, well, I'm using this guy or I'm using this guy. And then they go here and then they go here and then they go here. Yeah. And then 3 months go by and they've used 10 different lead vendors and they've gone through 3 CRMs and they haven't closed the door. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, it's because you're making
aren't profitable. I'm like,
yeah, you know,
I was really bad at this business, like the sales side, the communication side. I wasn't in sales my whole life. I had jobs. I worked in a warehouse, pizza, restaurants.
You were an accountant, weren't you? An accountant at some point, right?
After a while, I got into accounting and had literally a corporate desk job, and got into insurance. And I had a lot to learn, and I was really bad. And I don't understand the people like, I'm not profitable. I've been profitable since the day I started in the industry. And I wasn't killing it. I wasn't making millions. I wasn't printing money. I wasn't making 100 grand. You know what I mean? I wasn't, but even when I was making $4 grand a month, I was profitable. Like it was, you know what I mean? It's like, it's funny. I have a, I now have a lot of people reach out to me for coaching, and super picky about who I work with. Cause I'm like, and I'll talk to some people, dude. I talked to a guy last week that we didn't end up working with, and he's running his own ads because he thought he could save money doing it,
right?
Which I'm smart enough to do all that. And I'm like, I've always had the mentality of, let the lead guys run the leads and make money. I ain't mad that lead guys make money. You should make money because it saves me time, which inevitably makes me more money, but this dude decided he wanted to save, $3 a lead or whatever it was to run his own, and then doesn't call them, dude. He literally gets in like 150 leads a month and doesn't call any of them.
Dude,
and I'm like,
it boils my blood, man, when I see it, because we set up clients, and when we set up someone for a lead, like an ad campaign, we're also setting them up on a CRM, right? And we're including automations, and we're doing all that stuff.
Or what do y'all use?
Yeah, all the different versions.
I'm a GHL nerd, dude. I love it.
It's incredible, man. So we set up all these things, and so I have access. This just happened a month ago, by the way, right? I had a client. Guy came in excited. I mean, this guy was going to take over the world. He was going to be the top producer in the business, right? So great, man. Let's get you set up. Let's get you rolling. This thing goes live. 2 weeks go by, right? And when I start a client, in those that first week, I let the ads run, the learning phase, all these things. So you got to let this thing run for a week or two. Week 2, I'll sit down and we go back and forth and figure out what's going on and make changes if we need to. So I sit down with this guy, and he comes in hot, right? It's like, man, these leads, I just didn't expect the quality. I didn't expect this. It was every reason why this thing wasn't working. Yeah. And I had prepped for the call, right? I had gone into this guy's CRM. And I had looked at all the leads that came in, and this is me, man. I'm like ADD about this shit, right? So I went in lead by lead and looked at the automation and like his responses. And in a 2-week period, this guy had generated 140 leads. Again, ad just started, so we hadn't scaled this thing.
Yeah.
But there was 130, 140 leads. So I go through
some money in there.
Man, of course there's
Send them
money.
to me. I'll make 30 G's on them.
Come on, man. You know what I mean? There's deals in there for us, right? So I'm going through this thing and I'm clicking it and I'm seeing this AI bot, right? That's like talking to these people for 3 and 4 days. This guy's nowhere to be seen, answering a text. There's not a dial on this thing. And so I let this guy vent on the call, right? I let him just say how everything doesn't work and all this shit. And then I say, I'm going to share my screen right now. Right. And he goes, okay. And I said, I'm going to show you. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page because what I'm seeing is something a little different. Yeah. And dude, I share my screen and we start going through literally lead by lead. And this guy was just pale white. He didn't know what to say. And I was like, brother, you paid for this, right? You invested money into this system. You have leads. You've dialed, it was like 32 dials in 2 weeks, right? On 130.
Tell me to read my book, bro.
You know? I was like, man, I don't want to like fight here, but the problem is not the leads, man. It's not the system. It's like
you have no shot.
You're not working, man. So like, it doesn't matter how many leads you get. This isn't going to work. And the conversation like turned over. And it turned into like, man, I'm just having a bad go at it and life and this and that. And I said, I get it, right? We all have those situations, but you got to get to a place in life where you stop blaming everything else around you and you start like doing it, right? Because nobody's going to do it for you and you're just going to fail out of this thing.
Were you ever one of those people? Because I was. I'll explain it, but I'm curious if you ever had the others, if you were ever the other type.
No, unfortunately,
you just always had the drive and go.
I had it because I had to have it, right? Like I grew up in a household where it was just like we didn't have anything, and I was selling bubble gum in 7th grade. You know what I mean? And to get my own shoes because my mom didn't have money to buy me anything, and so from a young age, like it's just been in me that I need to prove that I can like support and that I can, you know, I can pay bills and I can do this. So. That's always something that's been in me. Now, with that, I also have a ton of trauma and shit that I grew up with and deal with. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to this, I've always just been somebody that's just, you know.
I'm weird too. Like it's probably a mix too. Like I was the same way. I grew up welfare, and I mean, like all of that. I was selling crap in elementary school too, and it's like, I always had enough drive to work a lot. I always had multiple jobs, work 70, 80 hours a week. Like that was no big deal. You know what I mean? But when I got into this, dude, for whatever reason, I was very blameful of everyone else, and I didn't put in the same level of work with this as I did like working at Little Caesars, dude. I was working way more hours, making $4 an hour. I was making $4.25 at Little Caesars, working 75, 80 hours a week, and I come here and I'm working like 12 hours a week, complaining. You know what I mean? It's like weird. And somehow I believed that I was full time. Like in my head, like I'm looking back, I believed I did this.
Right. That you were working a full 40-hour week every week.
Dude. Yeah. And one day it just clicked and I was like, oh shit, that's the answer?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the skill set. So I was like the guy watching a million videos and, you know what I mean? I was doing all the other stuff. The paralysis by analysis. I was that analytical guy. And when it clicked, all I had to do was work hard. I was like, why did someone not tell me this? You a-holes. Because everyone's, and still today, dude, I hate it. Everyone sells the magic script. I got the magic script that's going to kill. I got the magic this. I got the it drives me insane. And so it's like, I'd have more book sales if I sold like the magic script to insurance. But I actually mostly dive into whether or not you're working. And we sell a lot of them, but I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm so true to it. And I appreciate you understanding that side of it too. You know?
So many of you have asked if there's an option for more access, more direct coaching. And so we've created a coaching platform called the Winner Circle, where you have a couple different options. There is a one-on-one option to where we can work directly with you on a regular basis. And then there's a small group setting, 4 to 6 people, really high achievers looking to get to just a new level in their career. We've had a ton of success in this already. First month, actually the first guy that joined deposited $7,500. Worked with them back and forth, one-on-one. The very next month, he deposited over 30 grand. So basically a 5x return on his income in 30 days. So if you're looking for something like that, you can click on the link below, get access to an application, because I'm not taking everybody. I do want to make sure it's a good fit for both of us. And if we feel like you'd be a good fit, we'll set up a one-on-one call directly with me and kind of go through your struggles, what you need help with, and what I expect of people that are joining the coaching program. So if you feel like it'd be a good fit for you and something you want more of, click the link below and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome to the winner circle.
It's interesting. Like, I think a lot of it has to do, especially for like new agents, especially for people that come from a 9-to-5 employee position, right? Where, you were at Little Caesars busting your ass because shit, that's what you had. That's what you were told to do. And somebody was on top of you. Like, if you don't make the pizzas, then shit, you're fired, right? Like, somebody else is going to do it. You come into this business and you're just at home and you're just like hanging out and you're watching YouTube and you're doing this and you're doing that. And I think that discipline that you must have when you're doing this, because it's your own business, right? Like, if you don't do it, shit, no one's going to do it for you, man. And I think that's a big part of where people like fail, because they're like, no, I'm going to do this. I want to get this 20,000 a month. I want to get to this number. And I can do it, but then they go and they sit in front of their computer and they have the freedom to get up and go, get a snack and get up and go walk the dog or do whatever.
There's no fear of loss. That's what they're missing there. There's no fear of loss from the employer, and they don't give it to themselves.
Doesn't matter. It's on you, man. It's on you to figure it out. And so they get into this rut where it's like, all right, now I worked 10 hours this week and I didn't close any sales. It must be the leads, or it must be the CRM, or it must be my upline, or it must be my contract, and they get into this like rhythm, and unfortunately then they're out, I think that's what happens a lot, I think I didn't get that because, like I've had a handful, probably in my hand I can count, man, the amount of times that I've actually worked for somebody, for a company, and everything else has just been me hustling and like coming up with it and doing it. And it's all been around sales, but it's always been on me, right? If I don't work, if I don't commit, then I'm not going to produce, And so from an early age, that was my thought process. And I went through those failures, right? When I was 20 and I was working at a stockbroking room and they told me that I had to do $300-400 a day and I didn't, I blamed it on them and the system and this. And so I went through that process like really early on to where now I, changed.
So in the book, no pressure, and I don't care the answer. Have you read the book?
I have not.
Okay. No. So in the do more is an acronym also. It literally means do more, because most people watching should effing do more. But there's an acronym to it. There's things I learned over time. And the M is mistakes. Meaning what I see that you have that most people don't is you're willing and understand the process of making mistakes, learning from them, adjusting, right? And knowing that they're never going to go away. You're going to have mistakes till the end of time, where I see a lot of the new agents who struggle here. They make the mistake and they want to blame the mistake on someone else.
You got it.
And they want them to go away. Where in my world, I'm like, you know how valuable mistakes are?
It's everything.
If you use them the right way.
Yeah.
And being that entrepreneur type, that's what y'all are used to. And me now, I consider myself one now, but I wasn't my whole life.
Well, and then you're scared to make a mistake.
Correct.
Like it's like, it's like this fear that like I'm going to fail. Shit, man, you got to fail,
I love it now. I'm like, dude, put it out. Let's start it. Turn it on.
Let's go. Yeah. Let's fall flat on our face, man. Let me fall flat on my face so that I can figure out what the hell I got to do. Yeah. That happened. I talk about it because the content that I post, I talk about this stuff, and it's like, I'm 43, right? 43, 44. In these years since I started business, which was, when I was 20, I went into stocks, I was in real estate. I've, again, handful, 2-3 times that I can say I've had like a success, right? Where I built the business, where I did really well. But for those 3 or 4 handful of success stories, I've had 30, 40, 50 businesses, bro, that I've started that have just been complete failures, man.
100%. Everything we do is like that. People see the instant. And
people think it's just like, oh, this guy just went straight up, man. And it's like, shit, man, you guys have no idea. You have no idea.
We mess stuff up every day in my office.
Yeah.
Literally every day.
Yeah. That's
What's your IG? I'm looking it up live. That's why I'm looking down.
Scale My Social, at Scale My Social. Yeah.
Oh, there you are. All right, cool. I got you. I was
Yeah.
looking up your name.
My content journey has been one of like mistake after mistake after mistake, you know, and
Mine
like,
too, bro.
yeah, that's
Right.
again,
I'm
that's
looking
how
right
it
now.
is, you know.
Look,
And it's so
follow me.
interesting
Look, I
with like,
followed you back.
what's that?
So I
Nice.
just followed you back.
Finally, you know what I mean? Give me
Sorry.
a follow, man. You know,
I don't follow a lot of people, dude. I'll be honest. I just don't. I don't have the energy. I don't like to consume. Oh, you're worse than me. You only follow 69 people.
I don't like to
I'm
follow
one of
people
them. I
either.
feel good. Hold on. I got I'm at 227, dude. I follow 4x the people you do.
Yeah, but you have a lot more, you know, you're out there a lot more, you know. So I'm just a little guy out here, man, you
I
know.
love it.
What's interesting, like for sales, mistakes is, man, if you're not like getting on the phones and falling flat on your face and people hanging up on you and people saying no to you, how the hell can you ever figure out how to close someone, right? How to listen to someone, how to pay attention, how to do all those things. It's never going to happen by reading, no offense, by reading a book or
I agree with you 100%.
A million videos, man, you know, like.
Well, I think somewhere in the book I tell them to stop reading and go work.
Right, yeah, man, go
Like
get it, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, dude.
Yeah.
You know, it's dude, I have people that I coach. I have people that pay me and then won't, like, I'm like, just record some calls and send them to me and we'll go through them and I'll tweak it. And they won't do it.
They won't do it.
I'm like, I could be like, yo, y'all watching this. If you record some and send them to me, I'll pick some on my next open call, which is, I think, January. My team will post this like January. I do like every 6 weeks. I just do a free call. Anyone wants to get on, not on my team, anywhere they want. And then I pick a few people and I'll like go through stuff. So it's like, I'll be like, on this podcast, if you send me some DM me on Instagram, send me some recordings of your calls, I'll pick 2 people. And I think our next call, if you go to johnwetmore.com/events, I think it's January 6th, I believe. I'll pick some and do it. Dude, like 1 or 2 people. It's crazy how few people will do it. Like, and I'll do it free. There's no question, just for to help some people. It'd be interesting to see how many come. I'll keep you posted.
You know, it's like I think what I have always found in sales and like training people, people are so nervous, especially like call reviews. I think call reviews are the number one way to train a salesperson, right? Like if you're not doing call reviews with your upline or with someone, man, you're extending the process of learning how to sell a deal by months and months, right? But the crazy thing is people just don't want to be put in that spot. Most people, it's like, no, I don't want you to listen to me and like point out my faults and
it's true.
And tell me what I'm doing wrong, right? We don't want to hear that shit, right? I don't want to hear that I'm not good or that I did something wrong on this call. But if somebody's not there to, and at the same time, that's why it's so valuable, right? A call review, because if you and I are doing a call review and you hear yourself where you missed something, how the hell can you say no to it, right? You can't like fight it. It's an end game. It's like, man, you're right. You know, I effed that up right there. And it's like, yeah.
So people don't want to hear themselves. I watch a lot of my I watch every talk I ever give. I watch and I go through it and I'm like, even if you don't know what you're doing, if you hear yourself, you're like, you can find where you messed up in a lot of cases.
Every time.
But having a mentor do it is invaluable. Sadly, there's a lot of people who suck at that too. Like they don't know how to teach it or whatever, but it's part of the deal.
That's part of it. Yeah.
Dude, I have a question. What's the deal like is dumbass the terms as you can explain this whole lead thing that's changing with the, what do they call it? Like the
one-to-one?
Yeah. Like what's the deal? Like make it simple.
You know, you can no longer buy a lead, right? Or call someone, a consumer that hasn't given you, specifically you or your company, direct consent to call them. That's it, right? You can't
or your company.
Correct. Yeah, your well, it depends on the structure of the company, right? Because then you have like broker models where each agent is their own company. Then that consent has to be to that agent, not to the agency, because the agency's not calling them, right? Their upline isn't calling them. It's that broker agent that's calling them. So whether that agent has their own company, LLC, or it's just them. That
So
consent
can't that hurt agents in a way? Like, say a lead guy, right? And I will figure out how you do it in a second. I have my own assumptions, and I know how a lot of people are doing it in the space now. But if you run ads generically and then you distribute them to not each lead, Bob fills out a lead. You don't send it to 5 people, but you send Bob to one person, you send Mary to the next person, you send Susan to the next person. 3 leads come in, 3 different people get it. Does that actually go away or not?
I think
You know
no,
what I mean?
it
And
does.
if it does go away, doesn't it jack up the agent who doesn't want to or can't run their own lead campaigns? Or you know what I mean? Like, how's that affect people?
So let me see if I understand what you're saying. So
Distribution, one ad, multiple agents.
Okay.
Not one lead, multiple agents. I'm not saying
Sure.
that.
Yep.
One ad.
Yep.
10 leads come in. They go to each lead goes to 10 individual different people, exclusive leads direct to them.
Okay.
But the ad doesn't say John Wetmore is going to call you. It says Scale My Social is going to call you, for instance, as an example. Not saying you do business that way. I'm just making.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a few ways, right, that needs to be set up to follow one-to-one consent. So again, if I'm Scale My Social and I'm an agency, right, or I'm just an upline, I'm not an agency, right? I don't own an agency. I don't have agency licenses. Then my downline, right? Let's say you're my downline and you have your own LLC, your own thing, but the consent from that campaign is to Scale My Social, then you can't call that person, right? Because
I can't run an ad and give leads to my agents. Technically,
you cannot unless they're part of
what's
your.
It have to say?
It's got to say the name of that agent or how that agent is represented, or you have an actual agency, an agency license, and that agent is calling from your agency. That is the proper.
Wetmore Enterprises. Da 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 da.
You got it.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
The agent can't say, "Hey, I'm calling from Scale My Social" if they work for Wetmore Enterprises LLC.
Yep.
Right. Yep. That's the one-to-one consent. That consent is only to one entity or person.
It's not that big an impact, really. Like some people are freaking the fuck out, dude.
Well, like people are like by the way, individual agents, there's nothing to freak out about, right? Like the only freak out is if you're buying age data or if you're buying shared leads.
Okay. Got it.
You can't do that anymore. Right.
Stop, dude. So what happens to like the old what is that company? Oh my God. I'm gonna do real estate. Say Zillow.
Okay.
Zillow, someone wants to see what it's like. Go put your name and number on Zillow right now. You have 400 phone calls by the end of the day.
That's over. Yeah,
that's going to go away one day. What's Zillow?
I don't think it goes away. I think they find ways to continue doing it. Right. I think for example, EverQuote.
Because there's some of those. There's the Zillows of insurance. The same.
Yeah. You know, EverQuote.
Correct. Yes. EverQuote's the one I was thinking of.
You know, there's another big one. I can't think of the name, but there's 3 or 4 that are like massive.
Right? Quote Wizard. Quote
Wizard. Yep. Right. Yep. Quote. Something like that.
There's another quote one too. I actually know the guy who runs it.
Massive, right? These guys have been living off of shared leads, and that's their model. So now they have to find a way to replicate that model, and the only way you do it is you have to run campaigns to individual companies, right? You can no longer, and I like Quote Wizard, that is what it was called. It was called Quote Wizard because when I came into insurance, the first thing that I did. How I came into insurance is a buddy of mine in South Florida who ran a call center, an insurance call center. Yeah. He was like, man, come help me. I buy age data and I run it through call centers in the Philippines and we create the transfers, blah, blah, blah. I'm sick of it. Right. I want to get into like exclusive leads, this and that. So I came on, I became like his media buyer. Right. Yeah. And I learned the process that they were doing. Right. He was buying, everything came from Quote Wizard, EverQuote, and the 3 or other big ones that were out. Yeah. And right now there's agencies that still only run on that shit. And they've been trying to figure out.
They're in business. They obviously make someone money.
Big money. Yeah.
That's my thing with people that bitch about lead vendors. I'm like, dude, they're in business.
They've been in business. Yeah, they continue to be in business. Yeah.
So someone must be making money.
Right. Yeah. Someone's closing deals, right? Yeah. Someone's closing deals. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. So most of those companies own thousands of links, right? Of just landing pages. They drive people to the landing page, and at the bottom there's a consent that says you agree to be contacted by our affiliates, by anybody until your phone catches fire, right?
Yeah.
That goes away, and those companies now have to set up individual campaigns for these big
Each individual agent.
For each individual. Now, Quote Wizard, EverQuote, a lot of them are out of insurance January 10th, January 8th. A lot of them. You know, like I've seen the emails already.
They'll figure out how to run leads for solar, whoever.
We're going to get out of this thing.
Sense.
And here's an interesting part. Like I'll talk to agents and they'll say, man, how much more are leads going to go up? Like, what's the price of leads? What's going to happen? Dude, companies that are doing millions of dollars have shifted into this like 6 months ago, bro. Right? Like they're not waiting for January 1 to flick the switch.
They're already getting the pricing.
They've already, like
better.
We've already seen it happen. Yeah. You know what I mean?
What's the opposite of watered down? Whatever that is. I don't know the word. There's going to be less people doing this shit. It's going to push people out.
I think it is. Yeah, I think so. But and on the other side, then you see again the wave of people of like lead gen, right? I'm going to go into lead gen. I'm going to go, I'm going to do it myself. So I think there's both, right? I think there's an exodus, and I think there's also like a mass amount of people coming into it, which then kind of maybe balances it out, right? Like I don't see it as long as you follow right what you're supposed to do. I don't really see this as a major like shift, right?
For me, it's like this is what I talked about earlier too. It's like just keeping your head on a swivel. Like if you think you're going to figure out, I got the best lead vendor. Do you really think that's going to be the best lead vendor 3 years from now? 5 years?
6 months?
10 years?
8 months?
Next week?
You know what
I mean? It's like whatever you're used to today in business. I've been in business 12 years, dude. You know how many changes I've seen, bro, with leads?
Crazy.
Holy moly.
Crazy.
You know, I remember when Facebook leads were new and the new shiny thing, and people didn't like them because they felt like internet leads to people, and we were printing money off them. It's being able to adapt. Is if you can't figure that out in business, you either fail now or fail late. You're going to fail eventually.
Which is for sure. I mean, because failure is always the constant in any business, right? Like failure is just around the corner, or some form of failure is just around the corner. Doesn't mean that your business is going to fail, but some like mistake, something is going to happen. And yesterday I saw a video, right? So I just hired a company to start helping me with content, right? Mm-hmm. One of my biggest struggles has been letting shit go, like hiring people and letting other people do stuff that I feel that nobody can, right?
Control freak.
Yeah. I definitely
trust me.
Yeah. And so I finally hired this company to help me with content, right? Surprisingly, I hired this 19-year-old girl, right? Who's like blowing up, and it's like, all right, I'm going to pay you this money. Let's see what we got. Yeah. And so she sent me this whole structure of videos, how to record, how to do it. And I'm watching one of these videos as an example, right? One of these viral videos as an example. And it was a psychologist, and she was talking about, she was built in front of her were all these little like dominoes, and she was building this tower of dominoes, right? Yep. And it was such a great video because she talked about how as humans, we look at the problems that we have on a day-to-day, and in business, the failures, the challenges that we face, and we allow one failure, one mistake to determine the entire day, right? Or the entire business. And it's like, shit, this fell apart. Man, it's over, right? This whole thing is over. And that's where our mind goes to by nature. And I thought it was so interesting. And she's like building this thing. And then she goes, one thing happens, and she pulls underneath and they all crumble, right? And it was such like a good like explanation of that, because that's literally what happens, like one mistake, something happens, and a lot of people will just like crumble, and it spiral out of control. When in reality, it's like, man, just take a step. This is just one challenge. We can like work around this, right? We can make it through this thing, So yeah.
What can you give if you got someone out there that's like trying to run their own leads and figure out their own thing? What advice can you give them to do it better? Like where can we help them?
Look, I think that number one, right? Because again, as we look at like leads, what's the best lead? What's the best method? I think before that, if you're a new agent, you should really focus on your sales ability, how you're improving, your discipline to show up every day to dial, whether it's a lead that's 2 weeks old, was just generated, or a year old. There should be no difference in how you approach that phone when you get on it, right? It doesn't matter. So I think that aside from leads should be what a new agent should be focused on. Specifically, if you've never ran your own business, if you've never worked for yourself, man, number one, take accountability, right? Measure yourself. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I sitting down at 9 a.m.? Am I dialing until my fingers hurt? Am I not getting up to peak? Because that's what I do, right, man? Like when I was dialing on insurance, dude, it happened to me yesterday, right? It was like my stomach was hurting because I hadn't gone to the bathroom, but I was on a call. And I literally got off this call and I went right on to another one. And by the time I get I was in pain, but I'm not going to stop doing this. I'm not going to stop. Nothing's going to stop me. And I think if you can,
keep going.
No, I think if you can like build that mentality, that mindset, fuck, man, you're unstoppable. Nothing is going, it doesn't matter what lead or who gives it to you.
I like thinking of really dumb analogies to make points. And as you're talking, I'm kind of thinking like, where would this make sense? Like in another avenue, like why would an agent stop selling insurance and learning sales to go create leads? And I was in an Uber yesterday, and they also now deliver food to you. Like they bring, I don't know if it's Uber food or whatever those companies are that bring food to you. My wife does all that crap.
Yeah.
And I'm like, imagine the guy that's like delivering food to make money. He's like, you know what? In order to make more money and be more profitable, I'm actually going to start making cheeseburgers myself.
Right.
And instead of delivering Johnny's cheeseburgers, I'm going to make my own cheeseburgers to make an extra $3 a delivery.
You got it.
You know what I mean? It's
literally like the perfect analogy too. Yeah. Because that's what it's like, Yeah.
If you're in sales and you're trying to figure out how to get effing paid and stop getting so many objections, register now for my 2-day workshop here in Atlanta, Georgia, February 27th, 28th. We're going to have some special guest speakers. There's an exclusive mastermind for VIP ticket holders. For those that just want to attend the event, you can. There's a very low entry to get into it. We'll be going over everything you need for sales, objections, scripts, role-playing, everything you need to build a business, scale a business, staffing, automations, everything I've learned in the last decade plus, building what I've built. Of course, we've had a lot of help, so we'll be going over how to scale it, how to structure it, everything you need to get to the next level. Click on the link, register below. We'll see you there.
It's the opposite. It's interesting because I'm in Colombia, and in Colombia, there's this app called Rappi, right? Which are these super apps that haven't hit the States yet. They're in Asia, and now they're in South America. And this app, dude, you can get anything, bro. You can literally order a car, and it'll be here, and a contract to sign, right? And here, everybody's in motorcycles, right? So you see these dudes gunning through red lights, like, and yesterday we had dinner delivered. We use this app all the time, right? And I'm downstairs and I like talking to these guys. And most of them are Venezuelans, right? Because they left Venezuela, they're here in Colombia, and they're just on a hustle, man. They're just trying to make a buck. And these dudes are carrying these backpacks with 40, 50, 60 pounds of grocery. Whatever you order, they bring it to you. Yeah. And so yesterday I go downstairs, and I like to go down there. I tip the people and I'll talk to them. So I was like, man, how many runs have you done today? And this guy was sweating, bro. He was sweating, and he's like, not enough, man. Like, and this guy was like, today I need to make 150,000 pesos, which is probably like $30, right? And he's like, man, I've only made like 60 and it's 6 o'clock. He's like, I'm going to work tonight till 4 a.m. to hit my number. And it was like, man, and I gave the guy 60,000 pesos. I was like, here you go, bro. You don't need to work till 4 a.m., man. Keep the hustle up, but like, and that's the mentality of like, you don't need to figure out how to do all these other things. You just got to work, man. You just got to get on it and hustle, and just do it,
Be amazing at what you do. You know what I mean? It's like, that's because people in the same concept, people are like, Wetmore, why don't you do health? And why don't you do Medicare? And why don't you do PNC? I'm like, how about I just do what I'm really good at and let the other people do the other.
For sure.
So I agree with you 100%.
But there's always these stubborn a-holes who aren't going to listen to either one of us. So give them at least one or two little tips if they're going to do it. If they're going to be stubborn and make their own cheeseburgers anyway. How do they
You know what? If you're going to go make cheeseburgers, you got to have a griddle. You know what I mean? You got to have the condiments, right? So like the number one thing I think right now in lead generation is creative. Creative is your number one friend. And we're like 2 years ago, you could slap an image of a casket and put some really dingy words on it, and you were generating leads. Like that still kind of works. But I think more than ever, creative is like the number one focus and what's going to set you apart from the sea of other ads that are out there running and that will continue to run. And so that's for us, like our number one focus as a company. When we bring in a new client, it's like, okay, we need to get videos done, creatives done, not just one, not just two, but if you're going to run a campaign as an independent agent, you got to have 3 to 5 creatives ready to go, right? And you got to make sure that you run them. And the one that's not performing well, you got to turn it off and replace it with another one. And I don't think agents do that enough when they get into lead generation, right? They put in 2 pictures and they just let this thing run and they forget about it.
They steal the same 2 pictures from the lead guy.
You got it. Yeah, they go on Ads Library and it's like, oh, this looks good, man. I'm going to use this one,
Yeah.
And so creative number one. Outside of that, systems, right? What happens when the lead, thinking about the idea that like that ad, right? That person that filled out your lead form is going to now and other ones, right? So what are we going to do to touch that person as soon as it gets into the CRM? So having the systems, use AI, use all the stuff that's out there, workflows, all that stuff. I think those are probably for me the 2 most important pieces of right now, like lead generation.
Yeah. Do you track? I know this is probably a stupid question, but I'm asking it anyway because I kind of know the answer. Do you track like a lot of stats on the leads that come in? How many? This is one thing that drives me crazy with agents. I'll explain that after. But do you have any idea how many clients fill out a lead form multiple times? Can you put a number on it somehow, like a rough percentage or you know what I mean?
We see an ad. I actually do have a number. It's somewhere around like 10 to 15% of people actually become duplicate leads.
Yeah. It drives me crazy because we help obviously in our space. We don't do a ton with it, but we mess around with leads a little bit. My agency does. I don't really at all. But we help with some of the automations and stuff behind the scenes. And I always see agents, dude, and they've done it since even probably all of eternity, but even in my direct mail start of the industry, agents like, I thought they were exclusive. My cousin got married too. And I'm like, yeah, you do know that people who fill shit out. You know what I mean? And they get, I've seen agents lose their mind, and you probably get the complaints. Spend 3 hours complaining, calling, emailing, disputing credit cards because the lead wasn't, someone else called them. I'm like, y'all know they have the internet and they get ads all day long. And you took forever to call them back. And you probably weren't the first one that they filled out, to be clear. And even if you were, they're going to continue to fill out more. So there's no real exclusivity. There is from a lead vendor standpoint. I got it.
Sure.
But as far as a human being.
Nope. Zero, man. There is no exclusive. I just posted a video about this not long ago, right? Talking about this. Because again, we talked about this earlier. Like Facebook monetizes on impressions, right? So if Facebook identifies that you have an interest in a product or service, how can they make more money? Well, we're going to show them ads of other people. So the idea that you can that like somebody is not going to fill out something else is just like dumb at this point, right? Like that's just like stupid, man. Like, what are we talking about, man? It's just like
it's gonna be a clip, bro. I promise you.
It's just dumb, man. It's like, guys, and it happens with us, right? An agent will, especially new agents, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I got duplicates. The smartest thing that's happened, right, was when I sat with an agency last year, right? And I won't mention the name, but I sat with an agency last year and that was their complaint. It was like, man, look at all these duplicates that are coming in. I said, guys, instead of sitting here and trying to figure out how to filter these duplicates, right, and get rid of them and like, if the person filled it out again, doesn't that mean they're still looking for it? Doesn't
They
that
want it
mean,
really bad.
man, doesn't that mean that, like, instead of like pushing them away, how do we actually like bring them in closer to us, right? And so
Yep.
we ended up building a workflow where when a duplicate comes in, it would notify the agent and say, hey, this is a lead that already
The
came
home
in.
run. Call
This
it now.
is a layup, man.
Yeah.
Get on the phone now and call these people. And dude, sales went up, right? All of a sudden you tracked after 3 months and it was like, look at this. We wrote this person that filled out a lead form 60 days ago and then 30 days ago, and then an agent just closed it.
Yeah. What's funny is like a lot of people don't want the duplicates too. And I'm like, even again, I can go back to direct mail, dude, when I'd use 3 different vendors for direct mail and Bob would fill out all 3 of them.
All 3. Yeah.
And agents would get pissed. And I'm like, why are you mad? Would you not pay, call it $150 for a lead that you get all 3 of them instead of me getting 1 and 2 going to 2 different people?
Come on.
Give them all to me. I'll take all
them.
the duplicates.
Yeah. It's interesting how people will go against something, right? Because their thought process is this is bad. This is bad.
Yeah.
But if you just flip it for a minute and you go, how much better could this be, dude? Like this person just keeps wanting it. They keep asking for it. Who's going to give it to them, guys? Is it going to be you or is it going to be someone else? And so that's how that's the approach we take on it. It's like, hey, duplicates are part of this thing, especially if you're generating leads. You're Costco, right? You're the wholesaler, which is something that agents don't like process in the beginning when they run a campaign, right? And they're like, well, do I call Facebook about the duplicate, or do I call Facebook about the wrong number, and it's like, no, man, you're the maker of the lead, man. You're Costco, right? You're going to get 10% of duplicates, 10% of wrong numbers, 10% are this. But of all the leads that you're going to get, how about you focus on the people that are actually going to be your clients? Because it's not going to be 100 of the leads that you generated. It's going to be 5 or 10 of those people.
Correct. Yeah.
So you got to go through 80 or 90 of them. You got to go through the wrong numbers. You got to go through the duplicates to find the people that are going to buy from you in any industry. That doesn't change in any sales environment. For me, and again, real estate, loan modification, like it's all been the same exact process, So that's something that agents doing lead generation or getting into it, man, don't think about that stuff, right? Think about like, get on the phones and get on the horn with the ones that are going to become your clients.
Yeah. They lose I wish we could somehow what's the word I want to use? Not monetize, but like identify the loss in income due to people chasing a lead credit or complaining about you know what I mean? It's like, massive. I used to tell this story. I haven't told it in a long time. So I'll get when Reese, maybe he'll use it. When I was a kid, little, during Easter. And again, keep in mind, we grew up broke as like welfare government money.
Yeah.
So mom would take eggs and hide them. We'd go to my aunt's house and go to her backyard and she'd hide Easter eggs all around. Like most people hide Easter eggs around, candy in them, little plastic eggs.
Yeah.
And your job's to go pick up as many as you can and whatever. Well, I used to run around and she used to leave like 50 cents in some of them. Right. So I used to run around the yard and I would pick it up and I would shake it. And if it didn't jingle, I just put it down and ran to the next one because I was just looking for the 50 cents, dude.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at leads in this deal. It's like, I wish more people would just shake it. If there ain't any money in it, put it down and move on to the next egg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just, that's how I learned how to approach the business. It's just like, it ain't this one. All right, cool. And I didn't lose my mind and cry that there wasn't 50 cents in this egg and the candy wasn't the one I liked. And you know what I mean? It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
And I wish more agents would have the right approach. To this
it's so hard, man. It's so hard because of the messaging that's in this industry, right? To recruit these people. So like the messaging is so skewed, even though I think in the last couple of years, it's actually shifted a little bit, right? Because I think that social media is exposing all that bullshit, right? But I think the messaging is still made in a way where agents come in and they're expecting like certain things, but it couldn't be further from the truth, right? Like, man, it's just about doing the work. It's just about doing the dials. It's a grind. But everything is, right? Like running a business is a grind, whether you're calling, whether you're building, whether you're coding, it's just a grind. And so you can't make the grind any easier, right? That's the process of like building.
It's true.
I
got a buddy who just started a business, like a cleaning business, and he's not in that business at all now. Him and his wife just started it, and them watching them try to grow it. It's like, dude, they're having a hustle, bro. You know what I mean? And they got someone running Facebook ads, and it's like $150 a lead. And then sometimes duplicates or wrong numbers come in. It's like, and they're in a commercial cleaning business.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Meaning,
Right.
you know what I mean? To your point, it's like, it doesn't matter the industry. People are people and leads are leads. And at the end of the day, it's,
what are you going to do with it? You know what I mean? Are you going to connect with the person that needs it? Are you going to listen, and are you going to convert that person that wants to buy? Right.
Yeah.
But
so are y'all on the business side? Are y'all working with individuals as well as agencies, or just agencies, or how do you?
I started only with agents. I started only with individuals, and now there's a lot of agencies, both. You know,
you do take individuals that you help them.
Of course, yeah.
Who you looking for?
I've grown to a place now where, you know, salespeople that I have are taking the individual agents, right, and helping those people get going and set up. Mm-hmm. My focus has really now been agencies, right? Like helping an agency build. And so, like, who's right for us? And just any insurance agent that wants to generate leads right now. If an agent comes to us, right, and this is part of like discovery, right, sales, right, like how are we figuring out if this is a deal or not for us, is if an agent is struggling to come up with, you know, a month's worth of ad spend, then you have no business being in lead generation, right? Yeah. You need to go find a program that's going to give you leads where you can go learn, and you don't have to like figure out how you're going to scrape nickels to pay for a lead or to buy a lead.
What do you think a budget should be for someone getting, like, where do you see like people limping? And I just tell people no. I'm guessing you do too, based on your last comment. So where do you think a reasonable budget should be for someone that wants to get into purchasing?
I think you need to have 30 to 60 days worth of ad spend, and that can be, you know, $2 to $5 grand, right? Like I say this a lot because when I started, right,
someone has $312 in their bank account. You don't want them.
No.
Perfect.
They have no business going into lead gen. They have no business buying a lead, right? They shouldn't even be buying leads.
They should have a job.
Yeah, go find a free lead program. Now there's several really good ones out there, right? Go let them feed you, man. Let them take the lead and the spend out of the equation. It's already hard enough to figure out how to convert a sale, right? And who you're going to put it through, and an e-app, and going through all that stuff. Get rid of that, right? You don't have the capital to do this. Yeah. And I think that's a big issue too, right? Like people come into the insurance business and they don't have the money, but they're being pushed to just do it. Dude, you don't have the money to do it, right? Like it's business, right? It's money in and money out. And if those things are not correlating, then you have no business generating leads. So those are the people that we say no to. It's like, no, look,
What do you do for agencies? What are you looking for there? And what's a typical one do?
Agencies, I'm looking for really agencies that are at a place where they've grown to a certain amount, right? Maybe it's 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month. And I open the hood and there's no lead distribution. There's no efficient systems to track whether they're calling the leads properly. Who's calling the leads? What happens if an agent doesn't call a lead in more than 24 hours? Does it go to somebody else? Who's tracking all this stuff? So, and there's so many of those people out there, man. There's so many like 2-person, 3-person teams, and they're just flying by the seat of their pants trying to figure it out. That's where we have really excelled, is implementing lead distribution systems, right? Like doing real dev work, using Go High Level, offsite servers, to really reroute leads and distribute leads based on KPIs, right? Which you don't see that, which is, it blew my mind when I started talking to agencies, and it was like, dude, we spend, 50 grand a month on leads. Okay. How do you know your top producer is getting the most amount of leads? And we don't. okay, so let me get this straight. You spend $50,000 on leads every month, and you're just evenly distributing these leads to all agents.
Yeah.
And those are the agencies that I really like to work with, because that's where it's like, man, you have a team of 5, 1 or 2 people are your top producers. You should be getting those people should not be able to take a drink of water throughout the day, right? Because you're feeding them with so many shots at goal,
Yeah.
right? And agencies don't have that. So that's where we found some really good success.
That's dope. Yeah, we'll have to. I can't wait to talk some more offline, because I'm a nerd with all this distribution, and we have some programmers in house that do some cool stuff with it too. We've helped some of our guys basically become actual lead gen guys, because it's just what they want. And they didn't know how to do the automation piece. I love that side of things.
Yeah.
And then naturally, I spend a ton of time with agencies teaching them how to grow. Like, actually, once they get because I don't want to be a lead guy. I have no interest in that world.
Right.
I like, all right, you get the leads. That's a piece of it. Now what do we do? How do we execute on it? How do we?
You got it.
And I spend a ton of time with that. So I bet we can find some commonalities where we can.
We're going to. We're going to. Yeah. We're going to find it.
Love it, dude.
Cool.
I appreciate you getting on, brother. Anything you want to end with? Anything you want to add that I missed that you want to get out there? Or if you just want to end with anything that's on your mind to get people off their ass and help them get paid.
No, I mean, look, I think the year is here, the end of the year is here, right? Like, man, we're 2 weeks out, and people are always like, the resolution, right? The new year. What am I doing? How am I going to change? Guys, now, right? Don't wait. And as you get closer to the end of the year, people have that mindset of like, I'll do it January 1, right? I'm going to start this January 1. I just did it the other day. I'm a big coffee drinker, right? And for a while, no sugar in coffee. And in the last month or so, I put a little bit of sugar. And literally yesterday, I'm putting sugar in my coffee, and mentally I'm going, January 1, I'm going to stop this sugar thing, man, And
I hope you didn't do it today. I hope you quit today.
I didn't. You see? I didn't,
tomorrow,
man.
then, bro.
I put a little bit of sugar. I put a little bit of sugar, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I put a little bit of sugar, but that's like on a bigger scale. It's like, man, don't wait. Now is the time to do things. It's not tomorrow. It's not January 1. It's now. Get on it now. Stop worrying about all the things that are around you. Put your head down and work. That's the message.
I love it, dude. Well, we already shared your social, your Instagram earlier. We'll put all the links in. I know my team is connecting with you as well.
Yeah.
So we'll share everything out. And if anybody needs any help, let us know, please. And shoot me a DM with your. I don't think we have each other's number. I might have yours through my staff, but I don't have it in my phone. So shoot me a DM with your cell, and we'll text offline and connect as well.
Let's do it.
Travel safe, brother, and appreciate your time and you sharing, and keep killing it, dude.
Likewise, man. Great connecting with you.
See you guys
later.